Hello everyone, I'm trying something new. I'm going to be doing my interview with Laura. So I'm actually going to be starting on her channel. I'm going to see if I can tune you guys in, patch you in at the same time. Hello, Mission Mogul Status. Super Duper Princess, hello. I'm trying something new. I'm actually still doing my regular thing that I do with Laura, but I'm going to see if maybe you guys can see it on here. I don't know. I'm not a technical person, but healing therapist, hello. Thanks so much, you guys, for coming. Hey, thank you. That made me smile. I'm having a rough day. No matter what's going on, people still have rough days, right? We got to know how to get through them. So thanks. So I'm going to log into Laura, and I'm just going to kind of patch it in this way so that you guys can see at the same time. My creative relief. My goodness. Brain gains. I love that. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to log into Laura now. So we're going to have our regular conversation. I'm going to keep the camera on me unless she's talking, and then that way you guys can still see. Got to use two phones. I'm just blabbering. A lot's going on. There's a lot going on for you. There's a lot going on in the world and a lot going on in my personal life. So here we go. I'm going to log into her now. Well, at least I think I'm going to log into her. Has she gone on yet? Since you guys are here, let me tell you. My life coach, I'm waiting for Laura. I don't think she's live yet. My life coach was talking to me about some of the reasons why I'm feeling kind of extra sandwiched in right now. My parents are both elderly. So one lives out of state and one does not live. One lives about, 60 miles away from me. And so you really feel like you're sandwiched in between raising children and taking care of your parents. So that's some of what I am experiencing right now. Still don't see Laura live. But one of the things that I talked to Laura about was that I want to try to be transparent, because this is the issue when you are dealing with racial issues, which our country is trying to heal from right now, grow past and heal from, give up, try something new. Your life still goes on. You know what I'm saying? It's not like everything just stops dead in its tracks. You still have other things that you have to tend to and deal with and take care of. So it is important to say, how are you doing today? You got to ask that to yourself first. And you have to, Laura is live too. I'm trying to get over to Laura. Somehow I don't see her live on my phone. Let me see. I don't know why it's not coming up live on my phone. Let's see. Technical difficulties. Uh-oh. I'm not seeing her live here. Separately. It says she started a live video, so now let me patch in that way. It says she just started. See, our time is a little off because she's in Canada.
Racism and mental health. Please feel free to
hear her?
Drop a question. We'll probably try to monitor the comments as well. Ooh, I see our first question. Yes, it works. Awesome. Thank you, Allison. I am totally new to this live thing, so I'm learning as we go. And then let's see. Let's see if I can invite Michelee here.
You hear her? Thanks, healing therapist. This is very confusing.
Okay. Still figuring this out.
All right, looks like we got it.
Oh.
Yay, we did it. I'm trying to do a little three-way because I knew that some people were still going to be expecting me at mine. The healing therapist really helped out. So thank you. I appreciate that. So we're live on both of ours, so that, because I knew some people would still be coming there, and I never like to leave anybody out. That's just me.
Well, I'm so happy this is working. I am crossing my fingers that this is going to be recorded. I've tried to record it, but we will see. Technology does not like me these days.
Me either, trust me. But you got to find your ways around it is what I'm trying to figure out.
Exactly, yeah. So I've introduced a little bit of myself. Do you want to introduce yourself to those that haven't tuned in on Sundays?
Sure. My name is Michelee Smyth-Tynes. I am a journalist, a teacher, and an author. My book, Taming the Beast of Anxiety, can be found on Amazon, so you can search my name and look for Taming the Beast of Anxiety. My goal is just to have an open and honest dialogue with pure intention so that we can start seeing how we can iron out some of these racial problems and actually end them. Iron out is probably the PC way of saying it. This needs to be upended, and I think we can do it if we work together. Hey, Lady Amber Simone.
Hi, everyone. Oh, my gosh. So many familiar and so many new faces joining us.
I know.
So, yeah, I guess we can kind of start our discussion. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the Story Takeover that we did.
Yeah.
This past week, which was so fun, and I was just so grateful
Right.
to have been able to send over stuff and share some stuff, not just with me, but with my audience as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for inviting me to do that. It was totally awesome. It was, as you and I both know, a lot of work. There was a lot of behind the scenes, and neither of us are technical people, which is fine. I think in these situations, you find out how resourceful you really are. So it was nice to be able to share some history about how things have been strategically planned to divide us as people, as human beings, and that the labels of white and black can be used in certain ways. And then also to tell my racial profiling story, which is also included in my book, was powerful because I didn't realize how, still, even all these years later, there's still a lot of healing that needs to happen with that. So thank you for allowing me that opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it was such a good way for me to understand how prevalent this problem really is. And it really pervasively affects people. Like,
Right.
it sticks with people throughout their entire lives. And so I guess for those of you that are tuning in that didn't get an opportunity to hear Michelee's story, do you mind if I tell a little bit of it? Or do you want to?
Yeah, I could probably tell it. Because I think that's one thing that us as humans need to do also is, allow each other the opportunity to tell our own narrative. So thank you. Basically, the situation was that when I was 14, I was in the car with my mother who's hearing impaired. Hi, Salai, 79. My mother's hearing impaired. Hearing impaired drivers are actually some of the safest in the world because they have to rely on their other senses. But we were racially profiled driving from a bank. Supposedly, roll call told the police officers to be on the lookout for two black male bank robbers. I only stand at 4'11" now. I was then probably 4'8" and weighed far less than 100 pounds, probably 89 pounds at the time. I've always been very tiny. And so they swerved in front of my mom's car, guns drawn, and I jumped out of the car as a protective measure to try to, not get them to shoot, not realizing that they could have shot me just for jumping out of the car. And it was very traumatizing. It caused a lot of nightmares for me. But there are even more detailed stories that are still going on with, high joy envisioned with, even with black children, I was talking this week with one of my friends who's white and she's raising biracial children, and she talked about how her children, she found them sitting on a curb one day with their hands, behind their back. These things are traumatizing, and it was important for me to share that, because I think a lot of times people think this is just something that we make up, or something that's not as prevalent as it is. And I mean, and opening up and telling that, so many more black people have told me other things that have happened to them, black men and women. So, yeah.
It's heartbreaking to hear that. And like, when I saw that video, I was almost like in tears, because that's not supposed to happen, and you were 14 years old, you were a child at the time. And I think that could have very easily gone in a direction where you could have maybe lost your life.
Yes.
Or like,
yes.
Danger. So yeah, I mean, my heart is broken for people that have to live with that all the time. And I think
right.
that's probably where the trauma comes in, right? Is the police that are supposed to be protectors of the people.
Right.
And I would really love for you to share actually the information about one of the videos that we didn't get to post about kind of the history of policing in America.
Right.
But it's just so sad that the people that are supposed to be protecting the people in the country are actually the ones to be feared. And I think there's just such a dark irony to that. And the trauma part comes in, right? Because, then trauma means that something has happened to you which makes you fear for your life.
Exactly.
Or fear that you're going to get seriously and deeply injured.
Exactly.
That's why sometimes we talk about coronavirus. It is a collective trauma, because people do fear for their lives about the disease. But, it's so real for people of color, for Black folks.
Exactly.
Not just right now, but forever.
And that's what I was talking to. Tonight I'm going to be talking to a group of single moms. It's a private Zoom meeting. If you're a single mom, let me know and I'll send you the information. But initially, the man that called me, he's a white man. And I am only saying that because initially when he called me, he said, well, what's all this that's going on with you on Facebook? And it was the way that he kind of addressed me in a gruff tone. I was just kind of like, I really don't feel like being bothered with this right now. But the Holy Spirit just kind of told me to stay with the conversation. And obviously it went well, because I'm speaking to his group of women tonight. And he said that he was in the service and, he worked with Black people all the time. And the crucial thing that I need you all to understand is our very lives depend on you not knowing how we feel about racism. Our lives depend on that. Our livelihoods depend on that. Whether or not we eat depends on you not knowing our true feelings about racism and how it affects us systemically. That means how it has affected us over generations, how systems have been designed to keep us oppressed. And then also when I think about systemic racism, I think about actual systems like police departments and schools and legal systems. So regarding the police department, what I have on my feed, if you get a chance to scroll through it, I'm still trying to figure out how to put all the videos together. But the policing system in the United States, and pretty much in other countries too, started to catch runaway slaves. That's how it began. And so those same types of principles of reclaiming a person as property. We're talking about reclaiming a human as property. You reclaim that human. I mean, honestly, cars are repossessed in better ways than humans are under those theories and under those tenets. So we have to understand when we say defund the police, it doesn't mean like I'm still not completely with defunding the police, but I do believe in a hire and fire principle. I'm still working on that. I'm not a political person, so I don't know how to phrase that. Self-Care with Kalia. Thank you so much for joining. But I feel like there needs to be, and my 20-year-old said this too, there needs to be a psychiatric evaluation. And I feel like whoever is policing the community should live in the community. They shouldn't be commuting to the community. They should live in that community. That should be their heart. And they should know the people in that community. And indeed, I feel like before the rehiring starts, I feel like they have to jump through some hoops created by that community. What does the community want in policing? What does the community need in policing? You know, our entire concept of community is so off that it's disturbing. Like, you talk about a housing community or something, and it's just a group of homes. It's not even homes, houses where people live and they don't know each other. They don't connect with each other. Hey, Jenna May. So this is what I'm saying. Like I say, I'm not a politician, but it's kind of hilarious because my little intro that I have on my feed, somebody was like, run for something, I'll vote for you. You know, like, I'm not even running. And my husband's joking. He's like, you look like a senator. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. I don't know about being a politician. I can give my ideas to a politician, but I don't know about actually being one. But this is the thing, like, we have to break all of this down and build something new is what I think. That's what I think.
Yeah. So I have a question here from someone asking, what do you mean by hatch runaway slaves? I think you were talking about that in the context of the history of police.
Yes. So they were called... Jenna May said she would vote for me. Thank you. I got to figure out what I'm running for first, though. But they were called, you can look up Black Maria. You can look up Paddy Wagon. You can, like I said, I think on my feed, I need to put like something specific so that you can, you know, actually look to see what the sources are. Because I think it's better for you if you search the sources. So the thing that I looked up was, it was pretty simple. Like, what were the origins of modern day police enforcement? And when I say to catch runaway slaves, that means that from the inception of this country, so we're talking 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, the actual purpose of police was to catch humans that decided that they wanted to be free like God made them. That is the purpose. And so that being the purpose, we are not going to thrive under that type of mentality. So, like I say, I encourage you to look it up. Don't just take my word for it. Research modern day, you know, law enforcement, what are the origins of policing in America? Because I know your audience is in Canada, and I'm not quite sure what it is there, but it's very disheartening to know that is like, when you say that you're representing the police, you've got to understand. See, we got to understand also that every word that we use has power, and so we don't understand when we say we need the police. Maybe we need to call them something else. We are brilliant, you know, human beings. We can create something else. We don't, thank you, Allison Zilberman. We're not bound to the past. And that's what actually I believe is everything that's happening right now. Like, you know, I had gone through so many emotional things before the rioting and everything, but I actually feel like all of us are going through something emotional because of this racial system that it's been intergenerationally, given to us as an inheritance. And we have to say we don't want it. We don't want this inheritance. We want something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first step, I think personally, the first step to making that change of saying, hey, this is wrong, we don't want it, I want to live a better way, is being aware.
Exactly.
Educating yourself.
Yes.
Looking inwards and really looking into like why, you have these thoughts, like what kind of things have conditioned you
right.
to have this, like, we talked a little bit about implicit racial biases.
Yeah.
The other, and the fact is that we're not immune. None of us are immune to these
right.
which come from, as you said, these systems, right? Our education system tells us messages that, there are certain cultures that are less valuable than other cultures or deserve, less of a seat at the table. Police, just all of these things in the system. The other day I talked to someone, I was having a conversation on a podcast about how the media perpetuates it so much. The media is like a tool in the system to tell us that, there are certain races or certain cultures that are less valuable.
Right.
Yesterday I posted a really vulnerable post for me,
yeah.
Talking about how as a teenager I hated the way
yes.
that I was.
Yes.
I mean,
and you're beautiful. You're beautiful.
I didn't realize it.
I know.
So I lived in a majority, like me and my sister were the only people of color at my elementary school.
Yeah.
At a really rural town in Canada with pretty much all Caucasian people.
Right.
I remember this Indian boy moved to my school when I was in grade 3, and me and him became like best friends because we were different.
Right.
So isolated. And so I constantly got messages from the media and from the society telling me like, oh, you know what? White is actually more beautiful.
All the time. Role
models.
Right.
My first role model that was Asian, I remember, was like Lucy Liu. That was like one of my only role models that was Asian. And so I think it really affects people's mental health.
It really does.
People start believing something about my identity, something that's so inherent in me, is wrong. And
well, I'm sorry. Go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was done.
I'm sorry. I believe I've spoken to you before about how my mom, not having any resources, there are an abundance of resources now, but, she would actually color the characters in books brown so that I could see some brown faces. And so I honestly think that my concept is so strong because she did that, even though I knew they were colored, that whole term colored is very interesting. But I knew that, I also knew that brownness was important to her and that it meant something to her for me to love being brown. So there's that. But I also want to skip back to what you said about the media. Only within the past week or two have I begun calling myself a journalist. I have a degree in journalism, and I also have a degree in Pan-African studies. I have a master's degree in education, yet I always felt as though I got my journalism degree for nothing, and I never did anything with it. Nope. The thing is, we pay good money for these degrees, and what I'm doing right now is journalism. This is citizen journalism. Some people call it bulldog journalism. So I call it underdog journalism because I'm all for the ascension of the underdog. That's like so me. Every story, the underdog wins. I'm like, yes, I knew you could do it. I knew you could do it. But the thing is, I did not pursue working with a news agency because I honestly felt like I would have had to sell my soul. I did. I felt like I would have had to sell my soul, and I would not have been comfortable with myself as a human being having to sweep some of the things under the rug and even to say some of the things that I would have needed to say, because scripts are written for journalists now. And news agencies are owned by bigger, as we can see with our president. I'm just going to leave that right there. The whole freedom of speech is being threatened every single day. But when I come here and when I get to talk to you, I err on the side of truth. And I say, honestly, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong because I need to know. That's what a good journalist does. A good journalist comes back and says, you know what? I didn't get that quite right. Let me fix it. But that's one of the reasons why I never could have, made it. I probably could have made it in the career, but not comfortably. Because what we need to understand is they are pitting us against each other. They are trying to start a race war. Hey, Varshu 148. Hello from India. Hi from America. I love you. And see, that's the thing. I love everybody all over the world. I love you in India. I love you in Canada. That's what I really think is going to win this thing is love. Honestly, I do.
Definitely. And going back to your topic about journalism and media, I think that's something, and of course I don't have a journalism degree.
Right.
I study it.
Right.
But I think something that really concerns me is that media, what sells in the media is what's shocking. People really like
shock value.
Dramatic news.
Yes.
And I mean, definitely the deaths of a
How
bunch
far?
of Black people lately have been really shocking, but it shouldn't get to that point.
Right.
People shouldn't be killing people
right.
for people to wake up now.
Right.
And I'm really guilty of, not taking this seriously enough in the past. I have. But I think forward, we need to realize that, it shouldn't take a police officer killing a Black person for people to notice these issues. And that's ultimately, one of the issues that I have with media is that it's so skewed. Yes, it pits
very
people.
Skewed.
All I see in the news these days are protests getting violent, but what you don't see are the hundreds of thousands of peaceful, beautiful protests that are happening all around the world.
Right.
That really affects us in subtle ways. We
right.
can say, I would love to say I'm not influenced by the media. I can watch something and still hold my ground. But I know from studying psychology that the smartest, most strong-minded person is still going to be affected by the media. And so if that still affects someone who's an adult, imagine what that does to children.
Exactly. Right. Again, I encourage you guys to scroll through my feed. I did a show with my friend at the KP Experience, and we talked about how, there are different ways as children that we're singled out as Black people. I know it happened to me several times. I even saw when my youngest son was in kindergarten, first day, raising his hand in the front of the class, and he was never called on. The teacher a white woman never called on him. And so these things impact you because I wonder, he hates school now. He hates school. And sometimes I wonder, could it have all started with that one simple thing? I'm eager to answer. I might be wrong, but I want to let you know what I know, and you don't see me. Just the concept of not being seen, it takes a toll. And then we think about, we carry all of that into adulthood as well, because I was talking to my life coach and she calls it, I think, the 40-40 something or other. Like I was saying earlier, you're kind of sandwiched in between taking care of your parents and you also have to raise your kids. And in my case, I have kind of a special needs child, high positive youth therapy. And, so I've got to deal with him and I've got to deal with myself. I, wrote a book about anxiety, but it's because I deal with it. You still have to deal with it. And life is just carrying on. You have parents that die just like other people have parents that die. But you have this added layer of having to navigate your life through racism. You have, you have a special needs child like other people do, but you have that added layer. Oh, positive youth therapy said the sandwich generation. Exactly. So then you get these stereotypes. And speaking of mental health, I really wonder about that sometimes. You get these stereotypes of the angry Black woman or the angry Black man. And, I'm just how much of it are you supposed to carry without eventually just being able to say, you know what, I'm not feeling it today. I'm just I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd like to talk about stereotypes a little bit, because I think that this is
Please.
so important for mental health as
Please.
well, and for just our general psychology as we exist. And, you know, you mentioned angry Black woman, angry Black man, and I think this really happens when someone, as a way to almost like dismiss someone, you know, like if
Right.
someone being angry or like passionate about a cause, someone could use that and say like, oh, you know, she's just an angry Black woman.
Right.
Like, that's who she is.
Well, on my job that I have right now, I was told if you know, that it's hard to talk to me because I'll just start crying. I cried once. And I cried because I felt that I was treated unfairly. So that becomes, but there are buzzwords as well. So there are other stereotypes as well. Like one of the other stereotypes is, wow, you're just so articulate. That means for a Black woman. Like I wouldn't expect a Black woman to be able to carry on a conversation like you do. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Or, wow, you're really educated. Yes, I do have 3 degrees. It's possible. And that's why, do you mind if we go back to the conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago about, okay, so
about microaggressions
well, no, actually the part about when my feelings on being called a Black advocate. Right.
Yeah.
So Laura was making, we make a lot of graphics for you guys because we want you guys to tune in and everything. And Laura, on one of them, I've been called so many things that is so amazing to me, like a civil rights leader. I was called one of America's angels by a talk show host, call me this, so it's pretty awesome. But Laura said, a Black advocate. Now, there are some people that would love being called a Black advocate. But as for myself, I prefer not to. But I wanted to explain it to this audience because in that same show, I said, I love being called Black. Because to me, Black is ether, Black is ephemeral, Black is soul. And so I think it's important to explain. First of all, with Black advocate, I'm not an advocate for all Black people. Some Black people might consider me a sellout. They might consider me unknowledgeable. All Black people are not going to agree with me. Okay, so that's that thing. Second of all, I'm an advocate for human rights. What is happening is a human rights violation. It should be called in by the United Nations. Again, I'm not a political person, but it's not just George Floyd. There was also Breonna, and there was also Regis in Canada, and there was also most recently, I pray I say his name correct, but Rayshard. There are people that are being singled out by law enforcement who is supposed to, as Laura said, and as it's common knowledge, they're supposed to protect us. Mm-hmm. And so I can't stop anybody from being a racist. I can't stop someone from being a racist. But there are laws that are supposed to protect your racism from injuring my person, my mind, my pocketbook. That is supposed to happen. And so as for me, I just said that I didn't prefer that particular term. Like, I don't want to be a Black civil rights leader. I just want to be a civil rights leader. I just want to be an advocate. But the thing was, and thank you for being, so open to the conversation, because the thing is, little things like that, if we don't get a chance to talk about it, then it becomes a problem. And it's because we're used to this emotional packing, stuffing our feelings down, ignoring the signs, not listening to our intuition. So, I just wanted to really, Jenna May said, someone told me I was pretty to be Black when I was younger. Those kinds of things as well. Like, oh gosh, you're so pretty for a Black woman. What exactly does that even mean? And those are, Laura, those are microaggressions. Those are, I feel, the microaggressions.
Totally. And yeah, I think that going back to the Black advocate thing, I'm really happy that we're bringing this up.
Yes.
I think I've seen a lot of stuff out there saying that how some people are just like fakes, or some people are so kind of paralyzed that they don't want to do anything.
You said they're having stomach aches? I'm sorry, you jumped a little bit. Did you say people are having stomach aches?
No, people are feeling paralyzed.
Oh.
for for doing the wrong thing in this movement. They're hearing things like, oh, educate yourself, advocate, put out information to help other people or educate your families, whatever. And I think a lot of people, including myself, feel this fear of like, oh, I might do something wrong or I might do the wrong thing. And I think that it's okay to say the wrong thing if you're willing to be open. I think it depends on like the intention for sure.
Right.
Or if you're willing to be open
right.
for that to be called out.
Right.
And correct your behavior afterwards. So
right.
I'm super happy that you said something to me and
right.
said like, hey, I saw your post on your story. I actually don't prefer being called a Black advocate. And
right.
These are the reasons why. And for me, that was such a valuable learning moment.
Right, right.
And I went back that day and I started to do some research. And this actually reminds me of a conversation that I had with my best friend this morning. I don't know if she's in here.
I hope she's in here.
But I had a conversation with her this morning about how often people of color, and I'm just going to use the example of incorporations because this has been on my mind lately, but often people of color are used as like a token, if that makes sense. And I saw a post that I reshared on my personal profile about how there's dozens of companies out there like Zoom, Google, LinkedIn, Gap, like all of these that have like 20 positions for their leadership team,
right.
And only one of them are Black.
Right.
And that's what position that Black person holds. It's going to be like Chief Diversity Officer, Inclusion Officer, cultural, informed officer.
Which to me is still stereotypical. That's still a stereotypical role. Why can't they be CEO? But I'm sorry, go on. I'm just saying.
Definitely. And I think it definitely is a stereotype. It's almost like, yes, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to bring in diversity on your team, but you need to recognize this person for their skills.
Exactly.
And not just for the color of their skin.
Exactly.
It's also problematic. And
right.
I have had those experiences too. Psychology is a very white-dominated field. And so there have been certain spaces where I have felt invited just because I'm a person of color.
Right.
And it doesn't make me feel good at all. I know that the intention is there, that they're trying to like diversify their discussion, whatever. But all I feel pressure to do is advocate for all people of color.
Right.
Right. And going back to your point, I'm just one person. I only know my own personal experience. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to be an advocate for all Asian people or all people.
Exactly.
Because I'm one person and I have a very specific circumstance where I was raised in a Western nation in Canada. Mm-hmm. I am Asian, and not every single Asian person will have that experience.
Exactly.
So if you're tuning into this right now, I think what the message I really want to communicate to everyone is it's not enough to just learn from one Black person to understand like their perspective. It's not enough to just learn from like one person of color and to hear their experiences. You need a lot of people. You need to make sure that like your Instagram feed has multiple people of color sharing their own individual experiences.
Right.
You need to make sure that diversity is embedded. Taylor, who's in this chat, Kids Are Capable, does a wonderful, she's a wonderful advocate for trying to create awareness about representation in children's books and toys and things like that. Mm-hmm. That is so important. Mm-hmm. This starts really young. You need to make sure that, you know, if you run like a company or an agency, not just hiring a Black person to be the diversity officer.
Right.
That people who have skills, who have their individual experiences to bring to the table can.
Mm-hmm.
So,
For
Yeah.
you, Happiness Unlocked said, but I think there's a lesson in that because many Black people live with the fear of saying the wrong thing. Hello, I'm one of them, due to stereotype threat on a daily basis, especially in the academy and at work. So this is what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand that me actually stepping out and calling myself a journalist, that's a step up for me. Second of all, me actually stepping out and teaching Pan-African studies to the world, not just to my own people, that's me stepping out. These things are not comfortable. Like, this isn't comfortable because I know I'm pretty much sure. I don't even think it would take me long to find a Black person that would say, you know what, I don't really understand what you're doing. Why do we keep having to tell these people that? But in my description of myself, I also say I'm a teacher. And that's another thing that I had to realize. I'm not just a teacher of first and second and fourth and fifth grade. I am a teacher of humankind. So if you don't know, I feel like, yes, I am. That is the role that I was born into. That's not just something that I do to go and get paid for. So if you need to ask somebody, ask me. But there are some other people that are the other Black people are going to say, don't ask me. I'm tired of it. Get a book. And then they'll get the wrong book. And they'll be turned off by the gruff attitude, but that's just not me. That's not who I am. However, I can clearly say I don't represent all Black people. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. And I think sometimes this is another stereotype that I think sometimes we've fallen into. And that's why I think if it comes to being a Black civil rights leader or something like that, no, I'm a civil rights leader and I'm a damn good one. No, I'm a human rights advocate and I'm a good one. It doesn't matter what race I am because for that particular thing, it doesn't matter what race I am because these are human rights issues. The things that happen here in America, these are issues of being an American. And we have so many buzzwords. Like if we say Michelee is an all-American girl, the image and the ideology that you'll get as soon as I say that for many people will be, well, she is? Wait a minute, she's brown, she doesn't have blonde hair, and she doesn't have blue eyes, but I am an all-American girl. And see, this is more what I'm saying. We need to start stepping more into the discomfort because I think you and I, Laura, had talked about you have to exercise the guilt. You have to bring it out. You have to bring the discomfort out and move past it. Those are stereotypes too, and we fall into them. We fall prey to them without knowing it. Because to me, you're not an Asian clinician. You're a darn good clinician. That's what you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I would never. I know. You will be. It's like I don't look at somebody for those reasons or for those things, but it's one of the ways that we fall into it. We fall prey to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to be able, and I think this is where like the balance of color blindness and looking past the race is important because you want to be able to recognize like, hey, you're a person of color and I understand that. And that means that you have very unique struggles.
Exactly.
In this country and worldwide. And also you're not just your color. You're more than that.
So much more.
My gears is when companies or organizations or frankly just groups of people bring on a Black woman to say, okay, now we have like this Black person who's our diversity.
Yes.
And then that limits them because they're like, okay, well, what if I want to bring in a discussion about something that's not race, but now I've been reduced to like
exactly
about only race, but I have a multitude of skills.
Exactly. And then let's take a step out of that too. What if they're not even linguistic? What if they're a mathematician?
Exactly.
Do we ever think about that? A Black woman is a mathematician? Or what if they're a scientist? Or, same for Asians as well. We can't just assume that person, now that might be that person's dream job as well. We can't discount that. But see, that's where stereotypes, there's another side to the coin as well. You can be well-intended. And someone on here said, we're so afraid of saying the wrong thing. And that's true. But that's why if we can't have a dialogue based on pure intention, if my intention is pure, just like Laura did, I'm sorry, I just didn't know. Thank you for teaching me. You know, likewise, if I do something, I'm sorry, I did not know. Thank you for teaching me. And you best believe the next show I have, I'm going to be correcting it because the truth is what's important to me. But that's where we get into stereotypes as well. Stereotypes can be a token, a black person that you have, you know, just to say that you have a black person and you're inclusive. It's so much wider than that.
Yeah, it needs to go beyond that. So I'm going to read out a question. We've had a couple of them.
Okay. Let me say hi over here. Hi, Alyssa Hoyt.
So,
Piece of Exton. Hi, Dr. Doodles.
Is, when it comes to microaggressions, if we accidentally say one without realizing, how do we address this with the person of color?
See, like I said, I am a person of color, but I'm not all people of color. Now, you've got to also, okay, I always say, or I heard somewhere that before you address something with someone, you have to know if they're at the mental and emotional maturity to accept what you're saying. So if you made a mistake and you come back and you say, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. Can you tell me how I should say that? And you happen to come across a person that says, you know what, I'm tired. I'm not teaching you. You need to learn it on your own because I'm done. You have to then know where you're going to take that. And you have to think about what you're going to do with that. Like I said, you can inbox me. Sometimes it's about, you know, knowing how to formulate your question. And aside from that, you have to let yourself off the hook and know that you're just a human, just like I am. Like I said, everything that I say is not gonna, all Americans are not gonna agree with what I say. All black people are not going to agree. All women are not going to agree. You know, so it just comes down to that's the pure intention that I talk about. You know, if you have an open and honest dialogue and it's built on pure intention, then change can be made. And sometimes the change is just saying, you know what? I did not mean to offend you. How can I support you? Those are probably the most powerful words you could say to somebody. I didn't intend to hurt you. How can I support you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one thing that I would also add to that is I think it's really, really important to recognize the impact that you have made. So I think this is where kind of intention and impact can be separated here. There's two sides to it. Your intention, like my intention with Michelee was not to reduce her down to her race, but that was the impact. That was what she felt. And so I think part of having a good apology, just in general, but also to do with these issues, is recognizing, like, yeah, I know I made this impact, saying something like, oh, I said this comment, and even though I didn't intend it, I know it made you feel X, Y, Z.
Right.
Really trying to understand the other person's perspective. And I love how you said the bit about self-compassion.
Yes.
Important in these cases because, yeah, we're all human. We're all going to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
Those are learning opportunities rather than places of beating yourself up for those. And trying to separate out, like, this mistake does not define me.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's really important.
In fact, understanding that this mistake is part of your growth as a human being. That's actually part of your evolution. And that's what I'm trying to learn about myself. Because trust me, if I stayed in that box, you guys wouldn't even know me. I had to step out of the box even to present myself to Laura in order to do what we're doing right now. You know, so, you've got to remember that that is part of you evolving as a human, you know, and that's why you're here, is to evolve as a human. That's what I think.
Sorry, I am just plugging my phone in.
I know, both of mine are dying too, so, and then my other crowd's not going to hear you too well because something happened with the sound. You know, I've noticed that when I get a phone call, if I'm on, somehow the volume goes down. But anyway, I can still hear you. We have about 10 minutes. Can you believe that?
Perfect. Yeah. Really time flies when I'm chatting.
I know. That's the thing I love, though. It's like it's mostly a chat between girlfriends, and that's what I love. That's what I think we need more of, is just the love and the free flowing conversation. Because I feel like my intentions are pure and yours are too, and so that's what we get, a conversation where we can actually try to tackle some of these problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I think that one thing that is important for me to remember and for others to remember too is that, so you say that this is a human rights issue, and I completely agree because it's affecting humans, just, but it's affecting
Right.
people, and that's why we care. And I think so much of us kind of subscribe to this psychological mindset that, oh, if something doesn't affect me, then I'll probably care less about it. And
Right.
that's guilty too. Like for example, the hate crimes against Asian Americans and Asian Canadians during coronavirus, that affected me really deeply.
Yeah.
I was like really passionate about it.
Right.
Constantly talking about it with my friends and family. But I have to remember that, for example, like recently, there were many trans lives that were taken. And I am not trans.
Right.
Do not have anyone in my family that
Right.
identifies as trans, but those people are human too.
Right.
So one thing to cultivate, I think, is not just a compassion for people that you love and compassion for yourself, but cultivating compassion for all of humankind.
Oh my goodness, my friend Jenna May, I hope my audience can still hear because the volume is down. But Jenna May said we need more love and patience because we are still learning about our own race. That's true. Like, that is so true. And what you're saying, Laura, about you were so affected by what you saw happening to Asians in other places. To me, I think that those are your highlights. Like that's your marker of what you should be involved in. But in terms of your mental health, it's very important to know that you have to pare things down. You cannot be involved in every cause. You're not going to learn all of American and Pan-African and the intersection of the two. You're not going to learn all of that in one night. And dealing with anxiety as I do, I have to know when it's time to turn it off. I have to know when my husband is watching something, when I go to another room. I have legs. I get up and I move myself. I move my body to another place because that's too much for me personally. So we all have to start seeing ourselves as free agents. You have free agency to determine how much you're going to take in. And Laura, I want to ask you, do you feel like when you started getting involved in those issues, do you feel like maybe you were taking in too much at a time?
Oh yeah, totally. Last week I
See?
like definite signs of burnout.
Right.
It's actually something that my program teaches really effectively.
Right.
This concept called compassion fatigue. And I think one thing that's super important especially during times like this, when you're trying to advocate and educate,
Yes.
want to do the most you can, is realizing your boundaries.
Yes.
And I think a lot of
Boundaries.
used to feel this way too, of self-care. I think Allison asked a question about how we're doing self-care at this time. I think self-care is so important.
Right.
Because not only does it help us, like I used to think self-care was so selfish and boundaries were so selfish. Like, oh, I can't have you right now because I need to protect myself. Self-care is not selfish. And my therapist actually had a great reframe, and we talked about this in our session. And she said, actually, what you're doing when you're creating boundaries around yourself, or when you're using your time to fuel yourself up and have that self-care, is you're actually allowing yourself to show up better.
Yes. Definitely.
And if you don't take that self-care, if you don't use those boundaries, then you're going to be a shitty advocate.
Exactly. You're going to be a jacked up person overall. Because okay, so Allison down here for you said, "Can you guys talk about compassion fatigue next Sunday?" So we'll definitely add that to the discussion. For my audience, I have about 6 more minutes, but I do want to say that that is definitely part of compassion fatigue, is understanding that you have to start with compassion with self first. You have to understand you're not going to, and one of the things that I've noticed is I was talking to one of my friends who's a white woman, and she has biracial children, and she's actually been verbally attacked quite often. And I said, I think there are certain groups, certain pockets of white people that feel that they have a sword coming this way and a sword coming that way, because people are looking at them because of their ancestors and what the ancestors did. And it might not even be their ancestors, just looking at them and seeing that they're white. You might assume it's that person's ancestors. And then there are other white people that are doing just terrible things now with, looting and graffitiing in black neighborhoods and saying that those people did it. And so I actually had to stop and think about it with compassion. And when I did, I said, oh my gosh, they get involved in these arguments. That segment gets involved in these arguments because they feel blamed and they feel powerless. They feel completely helpless. They feel like they want to help, but they don't even know what to do. Where do I start? How do I begin? And so compassion fatigue, I believe, must start with the self. You have to, you can even start with an agenda. Okay, today I'm going to learn X amount of history, or you can even partner up with someone like I did with Laura so that we can, understand each other better and have a better understanding of the issues. You simply cannot solve it all at one time.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that you said that.
Yeah. Right. 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 Generations. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. But it needs to be one of those marathons. What's the one with the baton? I'm sorry, I don't know. It needs to be a marathon where we hand it off. Like right now, you and I are sharing the burden. We're sharing the load. I'm not doing it all by myself, nor are you. We have to know that we can help each other through it. And those mistakes are part of us helping each other through it. The compassion for self and others is part of us helping. I'm so sorry. Reset with Nat. I'm sorry. The sound went out on this end, but I'll fill you in. I'll fill you in on it. We just have to know that it's not going to be solved all at once, but we do have to dismantle these systems that breed racism. We have to work together to do that. And so what you do is you partner with some other people that are doing some things, that are trying to, I don't know, maybe you think defunding the police is the way. I don't personally, but so I need to get with a politician so they can help me with my idea that I think is a good idea. But together, relays. It's a relay race. Thank you, Allison. It's a relay. I am so not athletic. If you need a dance choreographed or you need a performance done, I'm your girl. But athletics and math, nope. Yes, a relay race. It's a relay race. We need to know when to hand the baton off to somebody else, I feel.
So we have about a minute and 20 seconds left.
Wow.
Instagram is like giving me a countdown right now.
I know.
Freaked out. But I love that. I think maybe I want to just leave us off with this concept of like when you want to call people out, I think it's good to think of it as calling people in.
Ooh, I love that. Instead of calling people out, call them in. I love that. I love that.
At a webinar, remember where. But yeah, instead of calling people out and isolating them, call them in, invite them in, make them, feel accountable for what they did, but also approach it with compassion.
Compassion.
Not in a headspace to do so, then maybe
Well, you can also take a step back. You can take a step back for a minute. You know, you don't have to solve it right now. You can go back to them in an email or in a text where you have more time to think about what it is that you're saying. I'm counting down my audience. 24 minutes remaining. Sorry about that. Thanks for joining, you guys. Bye. Yeah, we can't solve it all, but like I said, I think we're chipping away at a little bit every Sunday, right? Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining.